First, though, a new book about the younger Daley, who served as Chicago's mayor for 22 years. It's a first-hand account of Richard M. Daley's time in office, including behind-the-scenes stories of his successes and failures from Millennium Park to the O'Hare Airport expansion and much more.
The Daily Show, Inside the Transformative Reign of Chicago's Richard M. Daley, is written by Forrest Claypool, who served twice as Daley's chief of staff, and he joins us this morning. Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Why didn't you talk to him, or why do you think he didn't want to talk to you about this book?
Well, I didn't want it to be his story. This book is not his story. This is based on the public record and from the recollections of those who, all the players in his 25 years in office, the activists, civic activists, businessmen, politicians, the people behind the curtain who were able to tell me their stories about what really happened and how things got done in those 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. When you're in office that long, you're going to have successes and failures. People remember things running. They remember the successes like Millennium Park. They remember, a lot of the things, but then they remember the bulldozing of Meigs Field or this parking meter thing that we're attached to till the end of time. Talk about some of his legacies.
Yeah, well, it's a warts and all book, and it covers the scandals, and there were, people may recall that there were some major scandals that not only threatened his mayoralty, but even his freedom. And those are interesting stories in the book, as well as you mentioned Meigs Field, you mentioned the parking meters at the end of his tenure. But also, the reason I wrote the book, though, was because I think his mayoralty was remarkably transformative. People have forgotten what Chicago was like in 1989, and it was far worse than it is today. And yet he, in 1981, the Tribune said Chicago was an economic invalid, a city on the brink. And by the time Daley left office, Chicago was ranked 6th among global cities by Foreign Policy magazine. So it was a remarkable urban renaissance. And this book tells that story of how that happened behind the curtain with the people who were there.
But is something like the parking meter debacle, is that part of the turning point where we started to take the slide back down?
Well, yeah, it was. And in fact, it was also we have to remember that it was also at the very depths of the Great Recession. So people were in an honorary mood to begin with. And, and then you had parking meters. And so he left office then. And I think, given what's happened in the city today, violent crime is back and it's endemic. We see graffiti, homelessness, businesses leaving the schools in chaos. I think there's a certain nostalgia looking back now at Daley. When 13 years ago, he left office with a 35% approval rating in the wake of the parking meters deal and the scandals. But I think now we look back and say, that was really that type of leadership. I think we probably could use today, not just in Chicago, but throughout the country.
You worked with him closely. He seemed like a pretty private person, and we haven't seen much of him since he left office in 2011. Do you keep in touch with him? What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, I've seen him. He's taking care of himself. I haven't spent a couple of years since I have. You're right. He's fairly private. Always has been, but one of the things I talk about in the book early on is his sort of personal transformation from being sort of this, sullen prince of the machine who was doing the machine's bidding in Springfield. And, Don Clark Netsch, who was a leading independent, called him Dirty Little Richie. And he sort of transformed after his father's death and the tragedy of his own son's death at age 3, and became more empathetic and sort of transformed himself into a reformer and passed landmark legislation in Springfield. And went on to be a strong state's attorney. And so he had a personal journey, too, that's part of this story.
And despite some of the changes and the positives, this is still a pretty segregated city for 2024. Why is that? Is there something he could have done differently? Or was he even aware that was a problem that needed to be fixed?
I'd say the specter of race followed Richard M. Daley throughout his entire career, from the state's attorney's office when Commander Burge was we knew took decades to unravel the scandal of his police torture primarily of African American suspects. But it also, he also was given credit, though, for ending council wars. People are old enough, like myself, remember when the city council was literally divided by black and white. Yeah. Chicago was called Beirut on the Lake by the Wall Street Journal because of its strife, racial strife. And he was given credit for coming into office and changing that and uniting all the city's races and ethnicities. And even President Obama, when Daley left office, said that he united the city in a way that no one else could have. And so, again, it was, race was central to Chicago's identity because of its segregation, and it certainly was a huge part of his career, and that's documented in many various ways throughout the book.
You were in politics for a long time. You also worked for the Park District. You were, entrenched in city government for a long time. You've been out of it for a while. Did you just get sick of it? Was there something about it that you just say, I can't do politics anymore?
No, but I think today I'm, just like many citizens, sort of distressed about the trend of the city today, and I think that's one of the motivations I had for writing the book, because I think my high school history teacher said that the only thing we learn from history is that we don't learn from history. And I think we have to, and I've always believed that cities have been historically engines of human progress, and because of their density and diversity. And if you care about healthy cities, you have to kind of say, okay, what makes great municipal governance? What makes healthy, successful cities? And I think there's huge lessons here in the mayoralty of Richard Daley, who reigned successfully for nearly a quarter century in the third largest metropolis in the United States. And there's so many fascinating stories behind that I think people will enjoy in the book.
All right. Well, the book is The Daley Show, Inside the Transformative Reign of Chicago's Richard M. Daley. For more, you can follow Forrest on X.
Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
I appreciate
you.
having me. Yeah, thank you.